Define contribution to supersize your business using the 6 senses. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, and today we are switching gears from financial life framework area to the contribution and life framework area. And the first thing we do when we switch to a new life framework area is we ask ourselves, what is our, with respect to our business, definition of contribution? How do we interact with other people in our organization, people outside of our organization, stakeholders in our organization, our communities that we operate in? It might be global if we're online in the internet. How do we interact with them? How do we, my core definition, and one thing that I always come back to, is how do I make the world a better place? How do we as a business make the world a better place? If we're not putting value into the world, we're not going to get value back. Business is an exchange of value. So if I want to receive usually money and payment for our products and services, I need to make sure that I'm giving great value to the people that we're here to serve. That is our contribution. How do we do that? And I decided I would use a different model and point of view for looking at this as I created my definition today. And I started creating my definition. I've done this before. I think it's my 4th year sharing the life framework and the different areas of the life framework as part of the challenge, and it's part of my contribution. How I give back is sharing lessons learned, sharing tools that I've used before. Now this is a tweak on a tool that I've never used for this before. I've never used the 6 senses to define anything before. I've defined my thoughts or beliefs about anything. I guess we do it naturally as human beings, but I haven't ever consciously said, okay, how does sight, sound, touch, taste, feel, and intuition? And I actually realized between my last video for the Be a Better You Annual Challenge and this one, I totally forgot smell. I didn't even consider smell. So that's probably the one I'm going to actually act on today and say, how does smell impact my definition of contribution in a positive way or a negative way? So what I did is I obviously had fun with this. I've got actually 3 pages of notes on using this to define contribution. How do I interact? How do I show up in the world? How do I set an example to make the world a better place? I think everything that we do as human beings needs to make our life better, but we do that by making the world a better place. If we're making our life better and harming other people or harming anything and putting negative into the world, there's a price that's going to have to be paid for that at some point. I'm not going to judge it, but at the end of the line for each and every one of us, because none of us are permanent, we're going to have to answer to or make up for the things that we did that we knew were wrong, right? Because even if we try to convince ourselves that we did the right thing, sometimes we know looking back, yeah, I really screwed that up. I shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have said that. Shouldn't have hurt that person's feelings, whatever it might be. So today, our challenge is to look at each of our different senses and ask ourselves, how does that impact our organization's contribution? How does that make what we're doing more valuable to our customers, more valuable to the people that are stakeholders in our business? How does it make everything we do a good example for other people? If you're not the leader in your industry, ask yourself, why not? And what are they doing? And you can do this through sight, sound, listen to interviews of their customers, read their testimonials. And one of the greatest ways to build your business and fill holes in markets is to look for and read other customers, other competitors that are doing something similar to what you're doing, and see what they're missing, what their people are saying in feedback that they're missing. I learned that in writing a book. You go into Amazon or somewhere and you read a bunch of reviews on the book, and if you're writing a book on that topic, well, what did they miss that you have an area of expertise in that you can share? That's a positive way of contributing to add more value to the industry, to the market, to the world. So today, think about sight, think about sound, think about touch, think about taste, think about feeling, meaning our emotions and emotional intelligence, and then intuition, our gut, 6th sense. How does that play into our contribution, right? Well, I say you always tap into your head, your heart, and your intuition when you're making decisions for your business and for your life. So we're going to do that. Then we're going to share one thing. So what are some examples of what you might do in these different areas to contribute? I need a magnifying glass. I can't contribute because my sight's not so good. That's so ridiculous. There's no such thing as can't. You could offer a genuine compliment, right? Any one of us can do that. That's just good human interaction and communication skills. You could help a colleague with a challenging task, something that's hard for them. You could recycle responsibly. You could be patient in traffic. Ooh, I don't drive anymore, but I wasn't always patient in traffic. Actually, that's why I went to work at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I would leave my house at 3 so I could get to my corporate job by 3:45 or 4 because there was no traffic. But if I left at 6, it would be a 2-hour commute. And so I learned that lesson early on. Be patient in traffic. Share knowledge freely. This is a big one, especially in corporate America and in different businesses. We all think we have all this secret information, but the truth is, especially with AI and the internet, anything you want to learn is available on the internet, usually for free. When we're coaching or consulting or selling information and how to do things and systems that we created, it's to give people a speedy, faster result and process. The process, all the systems, all the anything you could ever need or want or desire is on the internet. It's do you have the 5 to 10 years to sift through everything, test everything, and figure out what works for you? So share knowledge freely. I think I do that. Smile at strangers. This is one of my favorite things. How good do you feel when somebody smiles at you, right? Or how bad do you feel if somebody skulls at you and you're like, wow, what did I do? Is there something on my tie, my shirt, my tie, whatever? And then listen more than you speak. Again, practicing this one every day. So think of some way that ties into your senses, and don't forget smell. How can you put better smells out into the world, depending on, or how does smell play into your definition of contribution? Think of different businesses that use all of these senses to market and bring people into their organization. Smell is one of them. Have you been to a mall? I haven't been to one very much, but there's certain stores where you can barely go in them because of the aroma that they think is attractive, and it attracts some people, their ideal clients apparently, but other people it sort of repels. So you can use that as a way to filter as well. All right, love to know your take and your thoughts about this topic and about contribution, as well as using our senses to be more in tune with how we're contributing, how we're showing up, how we're setting an example, and how we're making the world a better place. All right, have an awesome day. I'll, of course, see you tomorrow.